Hey, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Indie Film Cafe. I'm your old pal, the Moo Cow, otherwise known as Paul A Presenza, and I'm joined by
Jonathan A. Moody.
Outstanding, sir. And together we are joined by
Ri'Maku.
Yay!
Ri'Maku is back for this season. We've had Ri'Maku since season 3.
There you go.
And we have loved having her here.
Absolutely.
And so we just asked her nicely, and I thought it was so short notice. I thought she'd have no time to.
I know, especially for this movie that Moody found and showed me and was like,
"No, no, not do that."
Okay, well,
misinformation.
I found this movie, and yes, it is a Moo Cow movie, and it is the 2002 Damon Packard epic classic Reflections of Evil. And boy howdy, there's some evil going on in this movie, among other things. And I think this is going to be quite an interesting discussion. And we're going to have that discussion right after we listen to some
mood music.
And we are back. So I am dying to know, Ri'Maku, what did you think of Reflections of Evil?
You ever have those movies that you know sometime just a few weeks from now in the dark, in the night, when you can't sleep, you're just going to wake up and you're going to think of that and you're going to be like, oh God, why? It was possibly the worst you've ever sent me.
It's kind of a nightmare, isn't it?
It's like the worst acid trip you could ever think of, reimagined in French New Wave.
So this is the movies that Ri'Maku has done. She has also done Attack of the Beast Creatures, which was pretty bad. The
Bitey Puppets.
The Bitey Puppet one. That was the first one. That was the one I thought would be the one that sends her running.
We brought her in a little soft, on the shallow end, just a little bit. We've gone into the deep end with this one.
I don't know. The Attack of the Bitey Puppets was pretty bad.
That was at least funny to watch.
Right.
It was fun.
So normally you watch these movies that we send you with friends. Did you please tell me you watched them with your friends?
I did, and we all had like this face the entire time. 2 hours and 17 minutes and 30 something seconds of.
You watched it on Tubi too. I am so sorry.
There were commercial breaks, and then it was right back to the.
Nice. So is there any possible way in the world that you might be able to summarize what the movie or what happens in the movie?
So like, think about this dude just trying to sell his watches and catch the bus, and he can't do either. He's selling time and not having enough left over.
Oh, nice.
Doing this whole thing, but everywhere he goes, people are just violent and angry and yelling at him. Like, if there were a Guinness World Record for the amount of times somebody just said, "What's up?" and "I'll fucking kill you," I think this movie would take it. And so 2 hours of him wandering, progressively getting more stuff, and progressively meeting more and more violent people. He's just eating candy the entire time, being gross, and then this other chick is running around you don't know what's going on with her until the very last second. Do I spoil it? Can I spoil it?
Yeah,
I don't think this movie is possibly spoiled.
Right, cool. Yeah. So like 2 hours of absolute disgusting nonsense that involves like a lot of violence and bodily fluids, but not like oh, cool blood. No, I mean, there was like tomato paste, I think, at one point, but like it's more just like him puking and just winding up places and freaking out people. It's like things get worse and worse and worse until at the end, this chick shows up and is just like, "Oh my God, I've been looking for you. Something about grandma." And like,
you don't remember
you're dead.
That was the I guess his sister, Julie, who you see at one point when they're on the like Universal tour or whatever. And she
Mhm.
gets off the tour and leaves them, or whatever, when they were kids. So there's things that aren't really explained in the movie that sort of should have been explained.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'll be perfectly honest. I completely like zoned out for parts of it because it's just screaming. It's like after a while, all of the like the cognitive noise that you get in your head. It's like there are points in time where there are periods of time rather where you can hear this sort of stuff and it's fine. But
Mhm.
then you come across something like this and it's 2 hours of just people screaming at each other. And it's like by the end of it, I just felt exhausted.
yeah. And the
There
thing
were-
is you lose track of what's real and what's not, which is why to me it's like a nightmare, because those are the worst nightmares. Not so much that they make sense, the worst nightmares don't. You have
Hmm.
no idea what the hell's going on or why it's going on or what's real, what's not real, and it's extremely difficult. This movie does a really good job of portraying that, because you really couldn't tell what was going on, what was real, what wasn't.
Yeah, there was zero plot. Like it
Yeah.
was just like they gave you a brief whisper of what his intentions were and how he failed to like achieve what he wanted, and then
Well,
they
it's-
waited to explain to the end.
It's extremely, extremely ambitious, but just because you have an ambitious goal doesn't mean that you're able to necessarily to achieve it. Clearly there's something going on with his sister when he's a kid. The mother mentions that she had PCP. The girl gets off the thing at the Universal thing and ends up getting wound up in these drug people. She vanishes. This clearly has an impact on Bobby, who spends the rest of his life getting progressively worse and worse and becoming this homeless, horrible, grotesque homeless person who just wanders through life. And then it turns out he was dead since 1994. And now she pops in, like I was saying at Jacob's Ladder, saying, you don't need to drag all this baggage around, for all this stuff. And it's to be continued. And by the way, he's working on the second part now, which I know you can't.
Why? Why?
Because somewhere in his mind, he said, Ri'Maku needs to see more of this story.
I think
Respectfully,
originally it was
sir.
because people are asking, well, it did say to be continued, so are you ever gonna do second part? Because I thought that was a joke, and then he was like, oh no, he's making a
Oh, yeah.
sequel.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, why? The exact question.
Like
you asked.
respectfully, sir. Like I would pay you my actual eyeballs to never have to see that sequel. I would
That-
pluck them out and give
That's a
them to
good
you on a
quote.
dish.
That
Wow.
should be on the poster
Well,
for a
pay you
second
my
movie.
eyeballs not to make this.
Yeah.
Well, and you might see that in this movie. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the thing about Damon Packard. Damon Packard is a troll. He makes troll movies, and he makes a lot of short ones, and he's made a few longer ones too. I was introduced to him back in 2012 when he made a movie called Foxfur, and it's a wackadoodle, strange movie that I wanted to get for, in my collection, because you know me, I love weird, crazy movies, and I got a lot of people talking about it. And then the same people who were talking about it and said, this was cool, but you have to see his epic movie that he made in 2002 called Reflections of Evil. And back in 2012, you could not get any of this stuff because this was all self-made. It was all self-distributed. It was all self-produced. And it was only until recently that all of a sudden, bada bing, all of this stuff is now on Tubi. So I'm like, woohoo.
I don't know how, because he uses a lot of clips and commercials and things that I'm pretty darn sure he does not have the
And
rights
that's
to.
why he
It's-
could get it distributed forever.
Yeah, it's archival footage. I think there's like a period of time after something is made that you can use it. But I know with music, it's a period of time after the after like post-mortem, but I think with archival footage, you can just use it if it's publicly available. Like
Okay, yeah.
news clips and old commercials and things.
Mhm.
Maybe.
Well, plus the stuff that he shot at Universal Studios, I'm sure he did not get permission.
We were actually talking about that in the beginning. My friend, they said that it just seemed like nobody there knew that they were being filmed. Like half the time, it's just like, wow, that's a legality thing, because you're supposed to get the signatures of everybody who appears on your film if it's in a specific shot like that.
Yeah, there's definitely a mix of people who are gawking at this guy running around in this bizarre outfit, and other people who he clearly I hope is paid to act like crazy people, for the camera for him. But the line is so blurry that you really can't tell the difference sometimes.
Well, there's also a scene where he steals a cop car. And at first I was like, did he really just fucking steal the cop car? But then the guys in the back, of the cop car, like right there. So I'm like, okay, so it's obviously, written, to be that way. There's no way two guys would jump into the car together, like that.
Yeah.
With
I just feel like half of these people they probably found on the road and they're like, hey, you want to be in a film real quick? All you got to do is
Probably.
yell at each other.
Yeah.
So he has been making these movies and short films mainly for quite a while. He's kind of known as being a troll in Hollywood. He's a guy that when he made this movie, he the only reason it got made is because he came into I don't know if it was an inheritance or an angel investor. Somehow he managed to get a very large sum of money, and he spent time being homeless. He actually spent time wandering around the streets of LA selling watches. So part of this is at least semi-autobiographical. And he utilized that experience to tell this story. And he got this money, and he decided that this was the movie he was going to make, the first long version that he was going to make, aside from his original first long one. That was the Apple movie I was telling you about. That's the sort of Lord of the Rings before Lord of the Rings came out.
It's called Apple.
Okay.
Apple and Elven Maiden, something like that. I can't find it. It's not on Tubi. I'm dying to get it, but little clips of it pop into this film. But he's been known for trolling Hollywood. When he got this made, he made like 1,000 copies on DVD, burned them, and he started mailing them out to everybody in Hollywood. Back in 2002, they still had to have physical addresses for everybody, and you could get lists. So you could get like who all the producers were, all the directors, all the studio heads, and he was mailing them out to everybody. He was known for doing this, and apparently, and this is an apocryphal story because I don't know if it's true or not, but supposedly he actually got a reply from, of all people, John Landis. A card from Universal Studios, the monster thing, and it said, I saw your movie. I thought it was interesting. You need to cut it down to 90 minutes.
Okay, was this one?
This one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't.
No, he did not. Although there are a number of versions of this particular film, so he might have. I think there's like 3 or 4 versions. This is the quote unquote, I guess, the regular version, the one that he envisioned with all of the stuff. Like, he got the oh God, who was in the beginning? Tony Curtis, like the Tony Curtis stuff at the beginning and the end, where he overdubs putting his own name in there instead of God knows who he was actually using. Which was funny as hell.
That was one of the funnier bits, is that like when you got Tony Curtis to say his name and say the production name, he's obviously talking about another film or whatever. So I just thought that was hilarious.
Right. And the thing is, it's not like a normal troll who's like wants to be part of the Hollywood system, so he keeps sending people movies that he's made and nobody's interested. He's like specifically making stuff that he knows Hollywood has no interest in. That's what most of his movies are. If you go back and watch some of his shorts and some of his other things, it's him indicting Hollywood for the way they make their movies. And especially the 3 people he hates most of all are Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, and Francis Ford Coppola. So you probably noticed a lot of anti-Spielberg stuff going on. And that's the theme that goes throughout most of his movies.
But she just said really about this Coppola, and you even said before that Coppola, you were surprised about Coppola.
I was
as well,
surprised about Coppola.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, it would be sort of like saying Brian De Palma.
I mean, I can see it about Spielberg and George Lucas. I've never really been a big fan of either one of them, but and he's got all this other stuff wrapped in there. So it's like he was taking this experience that he went through and making it into this nightmare. There's all this stuff going on, like the helicopters, which I'm sure was taken from Goodfellas. Remember that part with the helicopters every had? Adding
Oh my gosh, they were present the entire thing, like as an experiment at the beginning. After about 20 minutes of just staring at the screen, we were like, what if we skipped to an hour and 30 minutes in? Would it make any more, like, would we be able to see the progression? So we did. And it was just the same exact thing. It was just wandering around like he doesn't know what the hell's going on. People screaming all around him, people getting progressively more violent to him. He has more baggage. And once again, more helicopters and the same footage of the same white Pomeranian barking at him.
Yeah. And the chemtrails. Don't forget the chemtrails.
The chemtrails, yes.
Yes, there was a lot of the same thing over and over again. And we were talking, so a couple seasons ago, I guess, we did Miss Werewolf, and Miss Werewolf was like 2 hours and 45 minutes.
You have
by
to
the
see
way.
Miss Werewolf.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
Just run away.
It's awesome.
Run away.
Awesome.
But like it does the same thing where for like 10 to 20 minutes, the introduction is the guy repeating the same thing over and over again, just maybe a little bit different, each
Well,
time.
the difference is that David the Rock Nelson doesn't like having space on, because he self-produces everything too. He doesn't like having a DVD that has empty space. So he's going to fill it up with everything, including outtakes, including stuff that you're not supposed to see, and including clips of him just talking about what you're going to watch 30 minutes before the movie even starts. And we'll talk about his monster collection.
Yeah,
he
just
just-
Java.
So he really just wants to fill up space.
Yes,
Yes.
that's what he wants to do. That's not what's going on with this.
Excuse me, sir. I think so. I think this movie fills up a lot of space with a lot of
It
nothing.
does, but I think there's a reason for that. I think he's trying to tell a sort of an epic story.
You're trying to act like he's an auteur who like has a vision.
I
and
think
everything.
I think he is. I think
This
he
guy
does.
makes movies like that, and he just puts everything into just one movie. And
I
these
think-
could be two different movies.
I think he's
even
got
though
a
they're similar.
plan. The problem is that it's too much. It's way too much. And even like I said, that middle part, that's the worst for me, is that whole golden guru druggy thing. You could have done that in 5 minutes as opposed to 20.
Yes.
I mean, so, and you're right, there's a lot of stuff that goes on that's similar, but I think part of the reason that too is, again, he's going back to his experience selling watches on the streets of LA. That had to feel like a never-ending nightmare of the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. So
if you look back at the idea that this was all him dead, right? I guess, is he in purgatory? Is that what it's supposed to be?
something
I
like
guess.
that.
So
I feel like they said it was the afterlife.
afterlife. So he's in the afterlife, and it's just like everything else that he's used to, right? Because it doesn't feel like anything's different, except all the dogs are barking at him.
All
constantly.
of them.
Every dog does not like this guy. Or
I
whatever.
noticed the dogs got progressively more violent. I felt really bad because they were totally misrepresenting like pit bulls.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much every dog, but I think part of it too is that he was always had something draped off of him, like 45 different pounds of clothing that was always hanging off. And dogs, they just wanted to.
He was
tear
constantly
stuff off.
losing stuff, not getting it back, but winding up with it back. It was surreal for sure.
And how many pairs of headphones can you possibly wear at the same time? That was just crazy. I mean, that to me,
What
that
was
was
he
like,
trying to listen to?
and at one point they became alive. Did you notice that when he was trying to hide in his mother's house, they became alive and started moving around, and she's like, what is this? This thing's alive, Bobby, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it was his
that.
headphones.
And then that was the same scene where she's going around, she's like in a sea of fucking cereal. Like there's like cereal boxes everywhere, Fruit Loops and Fruity
Well,
Pebbles.
he did die from a sugar overdose.
So it would seem. I would think so.
So
Well, that's what she said. He
yeah,
died of a sugar
yeah.
overdose.
sugar overdose.
It's gonna
yeah.
get fatter than Bob Harwood.
Oh man. And then that scene where he's in the restaurant
Oh,
and he's just like
God.
eating
That
the
was
food
so
and
cringy.
then she kept saying, Bobby, don't sandwich down. Put the sandwich down and wait for the waitress. And she kept saying that over and over. Yeah, and kept calling him a fat pig. And I was just like,
Oh,
why do we have to keep seeing this? Like, stop.
And then
Yeah.
he'd like sneak a bite and put it down, and then he tried to like, oh, look up there, the light. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And he puts all of this grotesquerie in there. All the sounds are weird.
Yeah, it was very, very off-putting. Like full disclosure, I have synesthesia, which means that sometimes when sounds happen, I can hear, or when I hear things, sometimes I can feel them,
Oh,
or I can taste them, or just some other sense goes off. So all the squelching sounds, I was getting literally like, it felt like my skin was crawling. It felt like there was like cold trickling down my spine.
Well,
it was just
There's a
very
lot
unpleasant.
of
here's the thing. You're gonna love this, Ri'Maku. So Damon Packard is an editor. He does editing not only for himself, but he does editing for other people. I think that's how he kind of sort of made what living he did when he was, making his own short films before he got this financing. And you can definitely tell. And despite the fact that there's this nightmare, grotesque story going on, there is some skill. There are some genuinely disturbing, nightmarish, horrific images that are in this film that have been skillfully put together. There's a lot of interesting dissolves. There's a lot of interesting stuff that's kind of what I was hoping that people would get from this, is that yes, you are hammered over the head with a sledgehammer with how weird this is, but there's other stuff going on there that's actually pretty good. It's just that, he's not really interested in telling a story in the traditional Hollywood kind of narrative form. He has no interest in that. And he's just going to do it his own weird kind of way. And this is what he did.
I mean, I definitely saw like the French new wave of it, the where everything is very surreal, everything is very representative of something else. I could see that for sure. Like I can see where you're coming from in thinking that he is a form of artist.
And some of that is not easy to do. Some of those dissolves, I mean, you got to have some real skill to pull that off.
Yeah, I just still think that like you can have all the skill in the world to pull off a single shot and still tell a terrible story.
Right.
I think that like as much as I can appreciate the effort that went into this, and I can appreciate what he was trying to do, I don't think that he pulled it off the way he wanted.
Right. And that's kind of the thing that I was hoping that you guys would see, because especially Moody, because he has seen some of the other stuff. As bad as some of these other folks, like David the Rock Nelson or Neil Breen does, they don't have the skill to do some of the stuff that was done in this film. They just don't.
But I mean, I'm gonna be with Ri'Maku on this. Like, it doesn't matter, like watching it doesn't matter how cool some of the shots are and how cool the editing is. If the story itself sucks and is boring and is just repeating itself constantly, the movie sucks. I mean, like, I
can appreciate individual pieces and still not like the whole, right?
Sure.
It reminds me of Alien Prophecy. You and Mackenzie both liked some of it. You like, there was a couple good things in it.
Really?
That actually, yeah. And I did not see anything good in it.
Oh Lord!
I can find the positive in anything. Excuse me.
Well, can you find one in this?
Silver lining. Yeah, come on. There's a few things in here.
Okay. Positives in this. I really liked when he fell down and like blood splattered everywhere, and it was like very obviously like tomato paste, tomato sauce, but like gross. It was very smooth and quick, and it spread out in like a perfect little like. And that was
but then when he got back up, it was gone. So,
yes, but I can appreciate that fall. I think that fall was pretty cool.
He fell a lot.
Yeah. I think that the chaos of an audio mix at the very beginning, it was extremely unpleasant, but I think it was intended to be so. So right. In that great success, I hated it. And then
you know about this whole movie, great success for making me hate it.
Yes. Yes. Congratulations, Packard. You did great. I hate it. If that was your intention,
there you go.
Just batted that right out of the park. Right out of the park. Fantastic. It's terrible. If you intended it to be good.
I think he intended it for it to be in the way he intended it to be, and leaving it up for everybody else to determine whether it was good or bad.
That's all you can do with art is just chuck it out
there's-
there. And you can't really say that art is bad because it is still art. It is not intended to always be pleasing. It is intended to make you feel something. And this made me feel vomitous.
But there's just so much of it. That's the problem.
But would the vomit be, was it, what was the vomit that they had in this movie?
Oh God, there was that river of like, it looked like beef and carrots.
It did. It looked like beef stew. And he was in no place in this entire thing eating beef stew. Where did it come from?
And I mean, the only other big problem I have with the movie is it kind of kept jumping to different time periods, you know, like it jumped from the beginning, then it was like a few months earlier, and then it was like 1971, there was like 1990, you know what I mean? Like it was way too much of jumping from different stuff. I mean, and the problem with that was like everybody looked the same, you know, like it didn't. So
well, I thought the times in like 1971 looked really good. They had the clothing, they had the period cars, you know, I was pretty convinced about that. And again, some money went into that. It's just that the jumps were very abrupt. They were very abrupt.
For the cars, it said in the credits like they're provided by. So I have a feeling like he didn't pay for those cars. People let him have those cars in the background and stuff. That's what my guess would be. But it could be he could have paid for it. I don't know. I don't know if any money was actually spent in this movie. I really
he had a bunch of money to fund it, but where did it go? Because this looks like it was filmed on like a cheap old camcorder.
I took it to Universal. That we know that for sure.
Yeah, you know? And then
but max you're paying for like 3 people to go in there. The cameraman, the chick, and the dude.
There were models that were used, so there was money for that. They got a cop car, you know, and cop uniforms. There were some location things.
They had real cops. Like I think those cops were real. They were, you know, that's what I'm gonna guess.
It's hard to tell because again, like a nightmare. You don't know where reality begins and ends in this film. You know, it's really very skillful in that. I'm telling you, if you were trying to make this on purpose, which is what he was doing, it's not an easy thing to do. Now, you have to divorce yourself from what the story is versus how the story was created. Okay, it was created, in my opinion, very skillfully. The problem is the story is so much an incoherent mess. Even if that was his intention, that it overshadows absolutely everything else about the film.
True.
Yeah. Here's the thing is I understand that he wanted to defy the way that Hollywood tells stories, but the way that stories are told, it is based in human psychology. Right. It really is. Like you can push the limit. Absolutely. You can, you know, jump from time to time to time. Like if you look at Lake House, if you look at the movie Lake House, Sandra Bullock, that was filmed all out of order.
Sandra Bullock, like Miss Congeniality.
And he's like punching the wall at one point with her face on it. It was funny.
Like, yeah, he's all mad because he missed the bus.
Right. Yeah. We were saying like Sandra Bullock didn't deserve that, man. But like but okay, so there are ways you can push the envelope for sure, and you can tell stories in different ways. But ultimately, the idea of a 3 or a 5 act like system of storytelling does ring true because it does tell an effective story, and because narrative is so important to us as human beings. I mean, it is so important that it's the last thing that we let go of before we die. Because, you know, when you have a near death or a death experience, you have your life flashing before your eyes. That's the last story, right? We hold on to narrative so much that it affects everything that we do in life. Sure. So it's like, if you're telling the narrative wrong, everything else can look really cool in bits and pieces as individual components. But if the whole entire thing does not fit, you can't connect to it. Not in the way you want to.
I've got 2 things to say about that. A, I think part of the problem is that we didn't get to see the whole narrative. Because remember at the end, he says to be continued, and he is filming it. So part of the problem, in my opinion, is that he was unable to tell what he wanted to tell in 2 hours and 17 minutes, knowing that he was going to have to do more. And that's a problem in and of itself.
If 2.5 hours, like give or take a few minutes is not enough time for you to tell a story like this, you need better writers.
Right. So that's a problem. However, I want to say this too. I do appreciate and enjoy when somebody can take the narrative form and totally flip it around or do weird things with it. You know, Christopher Nolan does that.
Yes.
Irreversible. Irreversible is a
I
movie.
refuse to watch that. I refuse to watch it.
And I totally get that, because that's another example of where a narrative has been totally reversed. I mean, that's the whole point, is that it's totally in reverse, and you can appreciate the technical aspect of the way that that film was made, but you better darn well divorce yourself from what you're seeing, because the narrative itself is so violent and horrific that it overshadows what happened.
I just don't need a scene of that particular crime happening for 7 minutes
It's
straight.
so long. No, it's longer than that. It's awful.
Yeah, it's longer than 7 minutes, I believe.
Yeah, it's longer than that. It's awful.
I've never watched it either, and I'm.
But it's a brilliant movie.
I've heard really good things, but aside from that scene and everything, it's the same reason as I haven't really watched Deliverance all the way, you know, and everything, because I just
Me either.
don't, you know.
Yeah.
I don't like seeing that stuff.
And I am not saying that Damon Packard is like Gaspar Noé. Not even close, not even close, because he's a genius who makes brilliant movies, although they are some of them extremely difficult. But I think that's where his ambition lies. I just don't think he's able to do that. And I think the other thing is that he has these other issues that crop up that pollute the narrative, like this whole thing with the Hollywood thing and Spielberg and his problems, all that. I understand having some of that in there, but that's a whole separate movie. As a matter of fact, he made a short film where he kind of makes fun of Star Wars, and I forget what it's called, but that should have sort of gotten him out of that. That should have satisfied that. You know, stop putting all of that into your films. We don't need that. You know,
we don't. There's enough of that darkness in reality, and I understand that art, imitates life, and that life isn't always easy or pretty, and that it can be very violent and terrible. But I also feel like if you can tell a good story without having to include violence against people in that way, it's, I don't know. I feel like then life can imitate the art. You know, I feel like you can heal that by showing it for what it is, but you can also heal it by showing that you can have an effective story without it.
And there are some parts, especially towards the middle, where it's just that there's this like 5 or 10 minute long montage of all of these horrific street people, all grotesquely, where the camera has made them so that their faces are all distorted and weird. And then you cut to him and he's all distorted and weird.
Like my picture I have.
Yeah, exactly. And he's got 75, headphones on, and he's wearing 65 pairs of clothing, and he's experiencing all the violence from them. And they're all like babbling nonsense and threatening him with violence. And it's just one on top of another, on top of another, on top of another. And it is a nightmare. It is the closest thing I've experienced to an actual waking nightmare. And as unpleasant and horrific as that is, I also got to say, God damn, that was really well done. I don't know that I could ever make something like that.
I mean, with the right editor, right? Like with him,
Yes,
but
yes.
Yeah, but
well, distorting is also a lot easier in this day and age because we have all of those like AI filters that pretty much do it for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this was made in 2002. So, I mean,
Well, it was completed in 2002.
it might have been made early.
Yeah, my feeling is that at least part of this was filmed before that.
Maybe some of it was, but like they have the war on terrorism stuff and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was obviously post 9/11 and a lot of that stuff. So I think, I don't know. It got weird. Like there was a lot of stuff that had nothing to do with everything else that came before it, that like the war on terrorism stuff just randomly popped up at the end.
That's another thing that a friend of mine did point out is that like given the year the movie was made, that there's a possibility of an attempt at depth regarding like subliminal messages and conspiracy theories. Because in the beginning, the old lady is crying like, "What's the number?" When we assume they're trying to call the police because it's like, I'm going to call the police and let Mark take care of this or whatever his name was. And it's like somehow they don't know the number. It's like, I haven't called it in years. But then right after it, it's like the news screen flashes and it's like terrorism hits America.
And
Yeah.
did you notice those people in the background on their wall? They had a big fat swastika.
I did not notice that.
Oh
Jesus.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Ugh,
Yeah.
Nasty.
Well, maybe she probably just blocked that out anyway.
Look, I'm gonna block most of this movie out. Okay,
But
I'm
there's
drinking
a
tea right
lot
now.
there's a lot of subliminal stuff going on. Like, when they go back in time and we've got little Bobby and they're in the first thing where they're going through the Universal tour, and you can hear the woman on the speaker talking about various parts where they're stopping, but it's all this weird stuff. They're like talking about how she's talking about how Charlton Heston was a gay icon, and parts of the Omega Man where you were definitely gay because all the zombies were male, and all this other weird stuff that clearly that was not there, that he chose to put that in there.
Yeah. And there's also Schindler's List, the
There
ride.
we go. God, Schindler's List, the ride. I'm sorry, I laughed.
I'm pretty sure that's not a real
I
thing.
laughed.
I was like, that didn't actually made a poster and put it somewhere.
Too soon.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I
Oh
laughed.
my goodness.
I couldn't help myself.
I was just surprised.
And so much stuff from pop culture that he took and twisted and put in there. Did you notice the Jaws outtake?
No.
That was the part with Quint that was never in the real movie, where he's got his assistant and the assistant doesn't want to be on the boat, and so he fires them. And that's in
Calls
the
him something
yes,
son of a bitch.
son of a bitch. That was cut from the release of the film, but it explains why Brody was on the boat in the first place, because he needed to have the second person and he wasn't on there. But I guess Spielberg decided to cut it, and we got to see it, which was cool.
By the way, I did sort of enjoy the young Spielberg shooting something evil,
That was funny.
bit where he's like, trying to talk to the people, and people are just like, who are you? Like, why are you telling us what
This
to do?
guy's terrible. He sucks.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of, and they just keep dropping bodies for some reason. Dummies, like throwing dummies. And
This
stuff.
guy doesn't know what he's doing.
And then the girl just walks through it.
Right.
And then they don't even say anything. Like, it was weird. I just like all of that stuff was just such a strange, like, little thing to it, or whatever. I mean, the whole movie was strange.
Oh yeah. There was just a lot of interesting stuff. It's, to me, it's not a good movie. Clearly, it has a lot of issues, but there's a lot of stuff in there that also interested me too. I got overwhelmed by all of the other stuff that it was difficult to enjoy the parts that I did enjoy.
Well, let's talk real quick about the cinematography thing. So the one thing I wanted to definitely bring up was I kept, if you look up on IMDb, it says that the cinematography was done by him, right? And I'm like, that's not possible. You have to have a camera assistant, or something.
Yeah, because like half the shots are up.
Yeah, he had like 6 listed at the end.
Yeah, so there was 6 people that and I literally think that he just asked people, like, if he was on a train, he said, you're a bus or whatever, he said, can you just film me, while I do this crazy shit or something, and then everything that wasn't him, he just video.
The one guy, and I forget his name, but he played the golden guru, the hippie who was distributing all the drugs. He was one of the camera guys. So I know that for a fact. The girl who plays Julie, I was telling Moody, she actually was in, I guess, in the background as in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, which I thought was kind of fun. So there's a nice connection with him and Kevin Smith.
Yeah, if you're gonna play, what is it, 7 degrees of Kevin Smith, there
you go.
2 degrees that this director, Damon Packard, did. But anyway,
so some of the acting was pretty interesting. Like the one who plays the mother, oh my God, the mother was hysterical. She was just hysterical. She's been in a few things. I don't know. What did you guys think of her?
Ri'Maku.
Nope, you first.
Oh, okay. She was okay. I mean, like, to me, she was given lines that were just awful for her to have to say, like, just calling him a fat pig the whole time. I thought was just,
I mean, she was kind of the voice of reason on one end, but on the other hand, she was horrible too.
Well, she just kept on stop eating, but apparently he was already dead, I guess. So like, did it really matter?
Oh my God, you found the cookies and ate every single one of them. I was saving them for my bridge club.
Yeah, something like that. But
Bridge club.
yeah. Do people even do that anymore?
I
I don't know.
don't know.
But anyway, yeah, it was okay. She was okay. I mean, I thought she was a better actor than he was, honestly.
I
But
thought he was pretty good considering that character. I don't know how he would be playing anybody else, but I can't imagine anybody else doing that character. And like I said,
nobody else would
it
want
was a very, very physical performance. I can't remember the last time I saw one actor fall or get hit so many times
on the ground, obviously.
Constantly.
Yeah.
doing his own stunts, clearly,
So what did you think of the mother?
or the acting in general.
I think that she definitely existed. She sure was his mother.
Was
I'll
a
be
mother.
straight up honest with you. I'm drinking tea right now, and I really, really wish that it was liquor because I want to forget this entire movie.
You should drink liquor later and just
Mm.
forget it.
Well,
I fully plan on it. I got to think of eggnog. It's that season now. It's going to be eggnog and bourbon until I die or shit myself, or both.
And that's kind of when I wanted to
Shoot
talk
yourself
about
straight
some
up.
of the better parts of the film that helped you get through this.
I don't think
No,
were
you know what helped
helping
me get
her.
through it? I know what helped me get through it is checking the time. How much time is left? How much time is like a game of like, it's like
we
sort of
tried
like,
that. That was not a good game.
okay, no, it's sort of like those haunted houses that'll pay you 10 grand to get through all the torture. It's kind of like that, except for the 10 grand was just peace and quiet.
Right.
10 grand was just being on our podcast.
Well, we did have that little bit of time. It was right before the big horrific montage, or maybe it was during, where he puts the Carpenters on, which is probably another instance of where I don't know where he got
Like,
the permission.
I don't
He
think he did.
probably did not.
Which I'm surprised Tubi allowed this thing to be on. I see it was put out by Cinema Epoch, and Cinema Epoch has done a lot of stuff that they put out on Tubi. So, like I don't know. Like I'm thinking there's a lot of the stuff that they didn't have the rights to, or should be able to put out, and they did, and so. I don't know. It's one of those things where I guess it doesn't matter now. That's out.
It's out.
It's out. People can watch. We'll see by the time we get this out.
I can't imagine Steven Spielberg looks at this and says, yeah, I better stop this movie from coming out because people will be confused and think that it's me. No, I don't think you have to worry about that. Nobody's going to make a dime off of him for this. It's clearly being very critical of him.
Tubi is free, or whatever, but they get paid. So, probably the producers or whatever distribution companies get paid for that. So I don't know. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, and that's a whole weird world of self-distribution too, where you can make whatever the hell you want and not worry about the rights to intellectual property because you don't care, because nobody's going to see it except the people who buy your movie from you in the first place. And unless one of them happens to be an entertainment lawyer, you generally don't have to worry about it. But taking it onto Tubi or onto cable is a very different ball.
Cable. I would love to see this on.
Oh God, cable. I would love it.
I just no. I'm really glad I don't have cable.
Well, it's just one of those things of like, remember when USA used to do it, USA Up All Night? This would be Up All Night kind of movie, except nobody would watch it.
Well, and I was kind of hoping you would kind of look at it being a filmmaker yourselves and say, okay, yes, it's insane and crazy and grotesque and weird, but it's somewhat experimental, and yes, he's doing.
I can definitely see that. Like I was saying, I was comparing it to French New Wave because there was a lot of like symbolism in it, and I understand that, and I'm sure that I think that if he had gone maybe a little less with how disgusting it sounded and how disgusting it was and all the screaming, he was just on level 11 the entire time, to the point that it was very hard to focus and see where the symbolism was. I think that if I watched it on mute with subtitles, not that I think any subtitles would work, but if I were to watch it on mute and see the dialogue play out that way, I might be able to get a better idea of what he seemed to be
Now,
saying.
was there subtitles?
I tried.
There
I just
was.
sat there in horror for a while.
Yeah, on Tubi there was. It didn't translate when I
Oh yeah, right, I know. Well, I was just wondering if
But
Tubi did actually
think
have
about this.
it.
This movie is in a situation where you might understand it a bit more if you saw it on a big screen with all of the Dolby Digital surround sound and all of that. But my
Shut
God,
up.
would you want to experience that? I don't think I would.
Absolutely not. I didn't want to experience any of this, and yet here we are.
That's ridiculous because there's at one point they have the THX thing or whatever, and they said, I think even in the credits they said Dolby Digital
Right.
2.0
Look,
something.
Look, if you played this as a backtrack to a very chaotic haunted house, I would not question it. If
Right.
it's meant to disorient, confuse, frustrate, and give you anxiety,
Well done.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because what did I watch last night before I went to bed? Finally, I got around to watching Zero Dark 30. And there's one point where they have the prisoners in rendition in these black prisons where they're tormenting them by playing nothing but hard rock all night long. I'm like, I can just imagine playing this movie to a prisoner 24/7, that this would break them. This would drive them crazy.
I'm so mad that you use in comparison Zero Dark 30 to this movie.
Which just happened to be what I watched, that's all.
Zero Dark 30 is a way better movie than this.
Sure.
Oh yeah, but yeah, that's the funny thing.
But this is a movie you break prisoners with. This is a movie you break people's will with.
this is just virtual waterboarding all the way.
This is the Taylor Swift of
God, no, don't even. I won't insult Damon
I'm
Packard.
just joking. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I don't know.
There's you can say a lot about this movie. It ain't basic though, that's for sure.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Fuck,
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Because I'm weird and twisted, I kind of got a little bit more enjoyment out of this than maybe you guys do.
see. I was telling Paul earlier that if I were to find this, like if I have what was on Tubi and this popped up, and I was like, oh, okay, let me try this out because it sounds cool. Because Reflections of Evil, that sounds interesting. So I turn it on, and I watch 5 minutes of it. I'm like, nope.
Right. And
I wouldn't be able to survive
that's-
2.5.
that's the difference
Whatever.
between normal people and me, because you guys watch this in 5 minutes like, this is terrible and repulsive, I'm turning it off. I'm 5 minutes into this and I'm thinking, this is terrible and repulsive, this intrigues me, I'm watching more.
To each their own. Different strokes for different folks.
There you
My particular strokes led me right to the backyard where I could just get some air and try to forget that's a thing that happened.
Yeah. I don't blame your strokes, at all, because I think your strokes kind of line up with mine, because I don't know, like I can't. I even when I watch, there are some times though your stuff kind of rubs off on me in the sense that I want to put it on Indie Film Cafe or whatever to torture you. I did torture him once.
Oh yeah.
There was one movie
Oh yeah.
that he said was he was like, are you getting me back for all the years I've tortured you? And that was called 8 Days a Week. And it was literally about a guy who was standing outside a girl's house, a teenager standing outside a girl's house, Carrie Russell's house, and he was not going to leave until she fell in love with him.
Yeah.
Creepy. Stalker shit.
Except that it wasn't made to be a stalker movie. It was made to be a
love
romantic. Yeah, like that's what happens.
Yeah, because normally people call the cops on those kind of people,
As they should.
Yeah, but in this story, or whatever. But anyway, the point was, it was the one movie. He was like, "Oh my god, do we have to watch this?" And I was like, it was so fun to see him squirm for once, I guess if I had to make you watch a mainstream movie, you would
Yeah, and that's just it. My life, first half of my life was so sick of mainstream movies, something like this is a real breath of fresh air because it is as far away from mainstream as you're going to get, you know?
I think that's the difference, because me and Ri'Maku like more mainstream stuff, Lord of the Rings and other things, you know, or whatever that you wouldn't normally like. You like Lord of the Rings, but
I like them when they're well done. It's just that so many of them are not. So many of them are just mediocre. And remember, I love things that are either brilliantly good or incredibly terrible. I hate mediocrity. I just despise mediocrity with all my fiber. I can't.
And wait, do
stand
you
it.
think something was mediocre having to do with the Tolkien universe?
No, not me.
No,
Okay, we were about to fight there.
Yeah, no. I was saying, I was using Lord of the Rings as an example for stuff that you really like, you know, because I don't really know a lot of movies that you would, you know, I don't know your favorite films, but I know you're
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. See, but he likes the Lord of the Rings.
Sure,
he likes
great.
Peter Jackson,
Yeah.
you know, as a
Yeah.
film. Though he doesn't like, yeah, I guarantee you wouldn't have liked King Kong, the Peter Jackson King Kong.
Oh, I didn't see it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I knew
see-
I wasn't going to like that one.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. But I loved it. I thought it was great. I own it. So I mean,
You know, to me, I always said the perfect example of the kind of mediocre Hollywood stuff that came out, you know, all the time was something like a movie called Tequila Sunrise, which I got dragged to see in the theaters. And it is the perfect example of the most forgettable, bland, you know, nothing movie that Hollywood cranked out on a normal basis. And I just find that to be so offensive and terrible. And that's the thing that drives me nuts. And I hate it. I'd much rather watch a brilliant failure that at least tried to do something different. You know what I mean?
I have a question regarding the movie. What was with the headphones and the watches at the end? Like I feel like the watches were like that time thing, but was there revealed a purpose for him having so many headphones?
I think with regards to the watches is because he did spend a part of his life where he was selling watches on the street. And I think that he just utilized that as you know, for this character. As far as the headphones go, I don't know what you experience you guys have, but in some of the big cities that I've been in where there have been significant homeless populations, almost all of them, the ones I remember seeing, had headphones. So it was kind of like whatever miserable situation they were in, at least they had that one little thing that they could listen to some music or something that would give them some way to escape besides drugs, I guess, in some cases, that they could use. So I think that's kind of what that is. It's like a symbol of that one little thing that he could possibly use that might escape the horrible life that his character was in. It's just that like everything else, it was done to a grotesque level.
Maybe you'll find out in part 2.
Yeah, well, we'll all have to get together and watch that in part 2 so that we can continue the saga.
Yourself here, you know, asking these questions and wanting to know the answer because
God knows if, I mean, who knows if it'll ever be made or completed or come out, or God knows, you know.
Yeah,
it's hard to say, but I can tell you, you know, in the indie film community, this guy does have a name. He's kind of known for some of these movies, and you know, there are a couple other ones.
good thing or a bad thing.
There are a couple other ones that I know we're going to do. It's just that this is done at the, like you said, at level 11. I don't think the other movies are quite like this.
There's nobody running around. That's all. That's half the movie is. You know?
Yeah, this is funny. But there was a lot of stuff in here that I was just laughing. It was just so funny to me. You know, grotesque as it was, I couldn't help but enjoy parts of it. It was just bizarre. But yeah, there are other parts that just ground on and on and on. And I'm like, yeah, you definitely could have cut 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. You know, the 90-minute cut of this probably would have been better. You know,
90-minute cut. I don't know about that or not, but
well, the only other movie that I remember tormented you nearly as much, and I'm dying to hear what you had to say to compare this with, is Actium Maximus.
yeah, I was thinking
So
you were going to say that.
how does this compare to that?
Well, okay, so to be honest, I gave that a 9.5,
Right?
because I didn't think you were going to actually give me a 10 on our first go round, on our first like one back. So I should have given it a 10. You know, that was a 10. That was a
It's
movie
the
that I
regret
hated.
he's going to take to his grave.
Just the same with Barn of the Blood Llama. But this movie, I think the difference is that guy doesn't know how to make a movie, and this guy probably has the talent to actually make something good. He just doesn't want to.
Yes, exactly. That's 100%
But
correct.
that's not.
The troll.
He could make a good movie. He's got the technology. He's got the knowledge of how to shoot shots, and I mean, maybe, but I have to actually cast good actors. Except for, I mean, I did like Julie. The sister.
Yeah.
She was okay. She was good. I mean,
She got to run around in this diaphanous nightgown thingy, and that was good. Hi, Kitty. Or is that Bash?
No, this is Gambit. She's
Oh, hi,
right.
Gambit. Kitty.
yeah, there you go. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's like I kind of like these weird maverick filmmakers who are burning to tell their movies and tell their stories, but only the way they want to do it. They don't want to conform to the way Hollywood wants you to do things, which is not
Look,
good.
I'm all about non-conforming. I very much like defying standard rules that are set for us by people who are only profiting off of our hard work, such as like gender roles and the way that Hollywood does things half the time. However, there comes a point where in your quest, we'll say, to defy the norm, that you create something that makes the norm preferable. And I think that ends up doing more damage than anything else, because you want people to seek out different ways to tell stories, different voices, different methods. But when you make something like this, you make people want to go right back.
And you know what?
Good point.
It's like you've just described Frankenstein. Dr. Frankenstein wanted to make something that was better for the world, and instead he made something that was far worse and monstrous, and it ends up killing him.
Okay, so the better of the thing is being able to bring somebody back from the dead.
Well, if you can conquer death, that's like the big thing humanity's always wanted to do.
Well, I don't think that's good for humanity, because we need
dead people.
We because population, if every person in the world were to get up and be alive,
we know this now in 1810, 1812, they weren't thinking about that.
Yeah, they weren't.
Besides, we know that if we defeated death, available to those who have exceptional money, and it would only be a way to continue their monopoly empires, and just in general continue the borderline aristocracy.
That's a very modern perspective. That's not something that Mary Shelley would have been thinking about. So
no, Mary Shelley was like, yo, not dying, dope.
Yeah, that would be the ultimate thing.
That was her quotes when she was for her gravestone, on her gravestone, not dying.
But the brilliant thing about that is that the character actually achieves it, but it turns out to be a monstrosity and ends up being this horrible thing. And that's great. And that's kind of along the parallel I see here, where you get to a point, like you said, where you finally stick your thumb up at the conventions of filmmaking, but at the same time you've created a monster because of that. And it's just like him slouching through the movie with 25 pairs of clothing and 75 headphones. He's become the monster that he's created himself by his own character and his own film. It's just so many different levels. That's what I love about the movie. As bad and weird as it was, there's just so many levels of it. It's just cool to me.
Just like his clothes, so many levels. All right, I think we're at that. What?
He was wearing a lot.
He was wearing a lot.
Yeah,
oh my God.
He did. And it made him look bigger than he actually probably was. 400 pounds, but I guarantee he was.
Half of that was 27 layers of stuff.
Yeah. All right, I think we're at that point though. We're heading there. So thank you, Ri'Maku. We're gonna go right into the stinkometer.
So yeah,
the fun part. Have you been thinking about this at all, throughout the whole time of I
already know my answer. You already know.
Yeah, there you go. So this is the point where we rate our film, all three of us, and it's 1 to 10, by which the lower the score, the better the film. So if we thought it was a really good movie, we would give it a 1. If we thought it was kind of meh in between, we might give it a 5. And if we thought it was a big old steaming cow flop, we would give it a 10. And if you felt a little subtle about your score, you might give it a half step, a 2.5, a 3.5, something like that. and then we add up the scores, the 3 scores, and then we see how that compares to the rest of the movies in the season. And then once we get a final score, we'll see where it ranks on the stinkometer, on the stairway to stinky heaven.
The ladder of
The
stink.
ladder of stink, where Neil Breen and David the Rock Nelson and some of the other movies we've seen that are just amazing. So who would like to score the movie first?
I think Ri'Maku said she already had an answer, so I want to hear what she has to
Maku's
say.
pounding some tea there, so
Yeah.
she's
I'm just
stealing herself.
10? All right.
Woo! Immediate 10. Little to no redemptive things about this film. Disturbing to watch, disturbing to listen to. Gave me the heebie-jeebies 100% of the time. And it just, there was no, like, when I watch terrible movies, I like to watch it for the fun of it. Right? I don't want to sit here and watch cheap 2002 French New Wave trying to prove a point and failing utterly. And I don't want to watch something that's going to push people back into the realm of, I think I would rather watch Peter Jackson's King Kong than this. I would rather just give it a straight just 10, because there were 0 times that I enjoyed it.
Okay.
So I think that's fair for you for sure. And because we were bringing up Alien Prophecy, which you actually sort of enjoyed the movie, at least, you had a good time watching it. It wasn't something that like pissed you off or anything, and this movie pissed you off. However, for me, I have seen worse movies from
Kidding
Paul.
me?
No, Paul has shown me worse already.
Yeah, and
I
plenty
thought you
more.
loved him.
Oh man, so he's been very nice to you, because even though this is a terrible movie to you, you have not seen something like Miss Werewolf or some of the other ones that have gotten 30s, Neil Breen, stuff like that, where you just be like, nope, like I can't get it. So yeah, so if this was a 10 for you, oh boy, man, maybe we should doctrinate you to what a real 10 is later, and then you can
A real 10.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Okay,
Wow.
yes, to this is a real 10 for you. So but
Yes.
I'm gonna have to go with 9.5, personally speaking, because it was terrible. It was awful, but the editing and some of the ideas that they tried to get across, saved it from being just the worst, of the stuff. Like this, the biggest problem with this movie is it's 2.5 or almost 2.5 hours.
Yes.
2 hours and 17 minutes.
Yes.
That in itself is the biggest problem with the movie.
It's punishing.
It's punishing. And especially on Tubi, where it's like 2
Oh, I
hours
can't
and
imagine.
17
I can't
is
imagine.
like over 3 hours long.
Trust me, I drove to Williamsburg so that he didn't have to experience seeing this.
I was willing to do it just like you were. So
I know, and I
me to.
knew that would make this even more torment. And believe me, if I could have done the same for you, Morocco, I would have. But because of distance, we couldn't do that. I could only save one of you, so I had to go with the one that
That was the sacrifice. I get it. No, it's fine. Fine.
When he
It's fine.
says stay, he just didn't want me on my phone the whole time.
Well, there's that too.
Because anytime I went to my phone to look up research for this movie or anything, find out who the cinematographer was, he was like, Jonathan, put that phone down.
Bobby, put the sandwich down, Bobby. You're getting fat, Bobby.
I'm like, all right, whatever. Like I can't even like look at my phone at all. I have to watch every single second of this thing. So
Right, with every
whatever.
drop, with every spoonful.
But anyway,
So 9.5 for you?
9.5 for me.
All right. Well, obviously, I enjoyed this a little bit more than you guys. There is, to me, a lot of interesting stuff going on. The problem is, of course, is that it is buried under layers and layers and layers of punishing shit that is very tough to go through. And, again, I have seen, like Jonathan said, I have seen a lot worse than this, but I've also seen other unconventional movies that are able to do this sort of thing better.
Right.
And again, a lot of this has to do with budget, but he did get some money out of this. So I don't know. It's difficult to say. I applaud the guy for at least attempting to tell this story, the way he wanted to tell it. And I'm kind of glad that he's going to kind of come out with a second version. Maybe it'll make,
He's glad.
well, it might clarify some things,
Look, if
but
it's another 2 hours of mouth sounds, I'm out.
yeah, so I don't know, maybe,
He's gonna have to watch it first and
Yeah,
then
we'll
see if it's
see.
okay for you to
um,
watch.
but it's still, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of repetition that I personally just, it was very, very hard to sit through. And yeah, some of the sound effects and some of the visuals, while there were some really good creepy ones, there were also some ones that were just gross and unnecessary and kind of pointless to me. So given that, I'm probably going to go with an 8.5.
Ow.
It's bad. It's
Generous.
sticky, but
It's
it's got
generous.
it's got some neat images in there, some stuff that I really thought was neat, was well done.
I feel like he doesn't want Damon Packard mad at us.
Oh no, I don't care about that. I kind of like the fact when filmmakers get mad at us. It means
Yeah.
they're paying attention, which is nice.
Well, yeah, they're paying attention, and they're mad at us because we're being honest about our opinions. Even if we get things wrong from time.
Yeah, say what you want. We try to have integrity here on Indie Film Cafe, and I personally cannot give this a worse score. I wish I could have given it a better score. If
Mhm.
this had been a 90-minute version, like John Landis had said, this could have been a much better film.
Mhm.
But
I don't agree with that.
well, it could have been a better film, maybe not a much better film.
It could have been less bad, but it could not have been better, if that makes sense.
She said it would have been a 9.5 for her, not a 10.
I see.
No, it would have been a 9.9.
9.9.
Yeah,
I wish we could give those.
but anytime I love any movie that sticks its middle finger up at Hollywood and the conventional way of doing anything.
But
So we have a 10, we have a 9.5, and we have an 8.5, which
8.5.
makes this an average of a 9.4 stinkage.
Yeah,
yes.
so that's still pretty damn stinky.
Wait, so 9 point what?
9.4.
So all right. What would that get us close to? I wonder.
Gosh, I don't remember. I think Barn of the Blood Llama was like 9.5, so I think
Oh.
it's just behind that.
Have you guys seen Llamageddon?
Oh yeah,
Yes,
that was
we
fun.
reviewed that. Yeah, that was great.
I was told to watch that. We also still have that one.
that your friend did.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. That's
We
right.
gotta do that.
Mhm.
We gotta get you. We gotta go do that sometime.
Well, and that's why we're hoping to see you when you come and visit the area.
You absolutely will, but I am gonna make just a quick caveat to that. If you're gonna subject me to one of the worst films ever, you have to give me one of the best snacks ever.
Oh,
Yes.
trust me. I'm ready to do some cooking.
Yeah.
There's gonna be
Okay.
there's gonna be food. There's gonna be snackage. There may even be adult beverages for at least you and me.
I'm gonna need them.
There you go. There you go. We treat our Ri'Maku well whenever we get the chance to see her. So there you go.
I will bring Bash again. How about that?
Hey, you're always
Alright,
welcome
so-
to bring Bash.
Well, okay, so that basically was a 28, I believe, on the stinkometer. So that actually pulls it up to, I love your letter stink because now I can look.
I know the letter stinks wonderful.
Barn of the Blood Llama,
Mhm.
Fungicide.
Fungicide. Have
Thanks.
you seen Fungicide?
No.
You have got to see Fungicide. When just for funsies, we'll show that to you. It is so much fun.
Yeah, you'll actually enjoy it. It's
Little
bad, but
little
it's-
little evil mushroom puppets.
Yeah. What and CGI mushrooms.
State of the art.
Thanks Killing and Curse of the Bigfoot. Those are
Oh God,
Curse of
Curse of
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot. Yeah.
Yeah, so those are the ones that this rivals up there with or whatever.
Okay.
Very nice. Very
Yeah,
nice.
they're so.
What got a full stink from you guys? What movie?
Oh, you mean
I
a
mean
30?
30s?
Oh, a
Mhm.
lot. We've got a lot. on
Yeah,
the
read
30.
her off the list.
Okay, so Fateful Findings. That's a Neil Breen movie.
That's the first one.
Yep.
What
Hahnemann.
did you
and
say? What did you say? Fateful Findings?
Yeah.
Fateful Findings. Yeah, it's terrible. Hahnemann and the Five Riders.
Another nightmare movie.
Killer Biker Chicks, which
Yeah.
is just hard to watch. It's just so long and boring. In fact, we went to go check on the time and we're like, oh my God, it's not even halfway through,
Cardinal sin of bad filmmaking, as I
Boring.
always said, is for it to be boring.
I don't know though. This movie's kind of boring at times.
At times.
Yeah.
But we're talking about an entire film that's
It was
nothing
it's
but
repetitious, not boring. I couldn't
Yeah.
fade out of it, but I really wanted to.
Really wanted to stop watching. I was like, you got to get through this.
Yeah.
Miss Werewolf.
You've got to see Miss Werewolf. That's amazeballs.
Okay.
But it's 2 hours and 45
Not
minutes.
not only did that get a 10, it got a 10 plus.
Yeah. Terror Bigfoot Pond, which Lila and
Bad.
Bobby did. Liking Colony.
Oh God, Liking Colony.
Twisted Pair, another. Oh God, there's a lot. Twisted Pair that got a 30.
That's another
Oh,
Neil
that's
Breen.
Twisted
Zombie
what?
Cop. Twisted Pair. Like not like a pair you eat,
It's
but like
you get double the Neil Breen. He's in there twice.
Yeah, he's in there twice. Zombie Cop, which you would hate because it is very either the just say like the people that made it disown it,
Yeah.
you know, because they realized they made something that was very culturally inappropriate at times and stuff. So not you know. And the problem was I had my friend Lila, who's very much like you, and I was watching with her and I was cringing because I forgot about some of the stuff in the movie.
And even without that stuff, it's still pretty bad.
Yeah. So Turkish Star Wars.
Oh my God, you have
Turkish
to.
Star Wars.
That is so off the chain fun. You'll enjoy that one.
Okay.
Corey Feldman's Busted movie that he did. And that one was so bad that the two people I had on with me didn't even want to talk about the movie half the time. They want to talk about other. I had to keep bringing them back to the movie,
And
because
even Corey himself doesn't like it.
Oh no, he hates it. But that's also a bad time for him. So, Geek Maggot Bingo.
Oh yeah, Geek Maggot Bingo. Nick Zed. You got to watch that at some point.
Okay.
There's neither geeks, maggots, nor bingo in the film.
Marina Monster.
Marino Monster, the plastic shark attack.
Maridonia.
Oh God Almighty, that's the worst movie you've shown me. Maybe not the most painful, but it was as far as the worst made.
And you know, I think I was
Amateur
gonna
hour.
have you at one point as a guest, but we didn't end up doing that. And it was probably because you already did a fantasy one. You did the Legend of the Red Reaper with us, so I didn't want to give you like back.
but-
Literally, that was the movie reference while we were watching it. One of my friends was just like, I would rather watch the Red Reaper one again than watch the rest of it.
Oh God, Red Reaper's a million times better than Maridonia.
Yeah. The Red Reaper was better than that, and I guess it was better than this movie. Yeah.
I mean, especially if you love Lord of the Rings. Oh my God, this movie would be like pulling your toenails out.
And last but not least is Blind Ghost.
Oh, Blind Ghost is so much fun.
Blind Ghost. I
Blind
can
Ghost.
just imagine.
Hold on, let me see if we had any. Did we have any yet? Have we had a 30 yet for this season?
For season 6,
No, I don't
we've
think
only
we
had a
have.
few movies yet.
Yeah, we haven't. No, we haven't had one yet. So we will, because we just started this next season. So for season 6, so
And yeah, that's right. So Zuzu Queen of Monsters didn't get a 30.
did it?
No,
Might have.
no, I don't think it did.
Or did
No.
Corn Man?
No, Corn Man didn't. No, I know
Okay.
Corn Man didn't.
And Jack Frost didn't. So yeah, I think maybe
I thought Zuzu might, but that's right. I think even
Blind Ghost is the last one. I think.
even Just Jen, cut Zuzu Queen of Monsters a little slack because it was adorable. He was so cute.
I don't know. I don't know because I don't. Wait, do I have the? I might have the listing here because I don't remember what.
That was our season finale of last year.
Uh,
Because I always like to save one of the stinkier movies for the outro, so to speak. Plus, we usually have Just Jen doing it, and I like to torment her a little bit.
I know you're so mean to her. Yeah, it did get a 30.
Oh, it did? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I thought it might have squeaked through.
What did Corn Man get? Corn Man got 22.5. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
We haven't quite put those up yet.
No, it did get a 30 because I remember Jen going Zuzu was like because she wasn't queen of the monsters, she was queen of the animals.
She had a pug and a tutu that would
And
talk and
they
say.
Called it
It's
queen of
so
the
cute.
monsters. It had nothing to do with monsters.
But the problem is that it took about 20 minutes of a French cartoon called The Red Balloon and put it in the middle. So that's what drove these guys crazy.
No, I mean, it made
Hey, it won an Academy Award in
right. That was the better
1951.
movie. I could have done without the dog and the cat talking the whole time, giving their commentary.
That was my favorite part.
So anyway, yeah, that was that. So, yeah, that was your favorite part, but not everybody else's.
It was cute.
But yeah, anyway, those are all the we've had a lot of 30s, and last year we had probably the most. That last season, we
Yeah,
had the most. I think that's why this season's not going to have
This-
as many.
this particular movie was more punishing than fun. Usually we go for more fun ones.
But we were all also making up in season 5 for season 4, where I
Oh,
swear
God,
to
yeah.
God, there was a lot of
There were at
30s,
least 3 movies that should have been 30s that squeaked by somehow
including
because,
Alien Prophecy. I was
because
pretty sure that should have
somebody
been 30.
decided that there was one tiny little bit in there that was worth saving.
That was every single person would say that, except for John Ward, who said,
Alien Beast is one of the worst movies I've ever seen and should have been Universal 30, except John Ward said it was so bad that he decided it went all the way around to good. And we were like, what?
Not
What does that
good,
mean?
not good, but all the way back to like okay or whatever, because he gave it a 5, and we're like, what?
What?
Like that doesn't make any sense.
And even now he regrets making that.
yeah, well, he still probably wouldn't give it like a 10, but he would give it a higher score than 5, I think.
Good Lord, it's hard. I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, but I mean, and he has shown us, because he does one later that's in another episode of this season that we've already recorded before this, that will actually be a pretty good movie,
Mhm.
and stuff. So
And it's interesting. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you'll get a movie that you would just assume, oh God, how can anybody not think this was a terrible movie? And some people will be like, oh, this wasn't so bad, So you never know. It's all subjective, and that's kind of the fun thing about Indie Film Cafe, and that's why I like having three hosts, especially if we can get somebody who's different than us, because we've got the nerdy white guy point of view pretty much down pat. So we like diversity, and I didn't know whether as a woman's point of view, you might have seen things differently than we did. So I
I'm
don't
only a
know.
woman sometimes.
oh yeah, that's true.
Sometimes
She's gender fluid, so there you go.
Yeah, pronouns are usually they them, but I don't mind as long as I'm not just she her. It's whatever.
there you go.
There you go. Well, thank you, Ri'Maku, so much
Yes,
for sitting
especially
through it.
especially
watching
because
it.
you were kind of like a last second guest appearance, because we really needed somebody, and
I got your back if I can.
you stepped up big time. So
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, it was to the point where I asked you, but I wasn't even, when Paul sort of explained what we were watching, I was like, oh God, I don't know if Ri'Maku is going to enjoy this or not.
I knew
but
there's
I
no
did
way.
not.
but you took it like a champ.
I did. I took
you
it like
watched
a
it. You didn't write back just to go, you know what, guys, I had to stop it. I can't watch this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, I knew that there was no way that Jackie was going to sit through this, and I knew
Yeah.
if I made just Jen do it, she'd punch me. So
Yeah.
I don't want to get punched. I've already making up for this whole year has been making up for Miss Werewolf from her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
that's
see,
all.
now I want to watch Miss Werewolf. Was there any redeeming? Like, was it funny? Or...
Oh, I thought it was hysterical.
I want to watch it then.
But he thought this movie was hysterical.
Well, no, not the same level.
I
Not the
don't
same
know.
level.
Okay, I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I think okay. You know what?
I
You should
will-
try and watch some of it.
I will
I'm not gonna
send
sit
you-
through the whole thing again.
I will send you a clip, and then you tell me if you want to watch it, because I guarantee when you watch it, you're going to be like, this is terrible. The worst thing I may have ever seen. God, I have to see more.
Okay,
That's what I'm betting.
perfect.
Yeah, we'll see.
I
All right, people.
haven't even showed her an Nick Zed movie.
It's true. You've only shown me a couple.
I
so-
know.
I've shown Gary more.
Oh yeah.
Poor Gary.
Poor Gary.
You need to get him back on. At
Yes.
some point.
Yes.
We Gary's his like best friend, so like it's always nice to have him on, because he's been tortured by Paul way longer than I have.
Yeah.
So
He was my Delaware sort of torture case, and then my friend Curtis, he was kind of my first Virginia guy that I tormented, and now it's Mr. Moody's turn.
so
Okay,
I'm
I'll tell you. I'll make you a bet. Okay,
Hmm?
if I don't like Miss Werewolf, then for the next time that I guest on this, I will wear the most boring like outfit of all time. If I
We lost you for a second.
Outfit of all time.
Okay, so you're gonna have to wear a crazy outfit if you do not like it. Now,
Yeah, I
If
think
I
she
do
kinda-
like it.
okay, if you do like it,
If I do like it, yeah.
okay.
I'll tell you what, if you hate it, I will come in on the Indie Film Cafe wearing my cow onesie.
No, because you like doing that anyway. Like that's not torture.
Oh,
for you.
shut
Okay, how about this? How about this? Hear me out. Okay.
Okay.
Onesie. You have to wear. I happen to have a horse mascot costume. You have to wear the head of that with the cow onesie.
Okay.
You're
Nope.
pretty much giving him things he likes to do. So whatever. You'd have to say you have to wear "I love Steven Spielberg" shirt for like for a whole day, and you'd be like, "Ooh, ooh,
Or I'll make you watch a movie that'll make you like your entire body will just want to shut down and just dip right then. You just,
dude, if you could torture him, I would be surprised. If you can find something worse.
Just don't ask either Gary or Curtis. They both know the movies that get me really, really badly.
Wait, don't ask.
Yes, don't ask them.
Why?
Because they know the movies that really, really get me.
I
all
know.
right, I'm just gonna have to experiment then.
Yeah.
We have ways of making you torment,
You have to figure out. Yeah, you got to figure it out on your own. You can't cheat. I guess that's what he's trying to say.
There
All
you go.
right. Well, if that happens, that happens. But you are coming soon, so we will have
Yay.
you back in the studio and
For snackage and adult beverages and cakes and cookies and stinky movies. It'll be fun.
Yes. Okay. I'm into it.
Yay.
Yay. All right. And Bash. We need Bash.
Yes.
Bet.
To come.
All right. Well, I guess that wraps up this episode of Indie Film Cafe. Hope everybody had a good time. If you get the chance, go out and see this film. If you're willing to challenge yourself, if you're looking for something that's more of an easy ride, you might want to skip this one. But thank you for joining us, and we will see everybody in next episode, which is Mr. Moody's, I think, or is it mine still? I forget. But it'll be a weird indie movie of some kind.
I'm not sure.
And thank you very much, Ri'Maku. We always love having you on there. And,
Anytime.
we will see everybody next time.
Bye.
Bye.